Hey guys, once again, I'm going to be reviewing Arrow 109 titled Year's End. Before we get into the review, I am aware it's like 48 hours late than normal. I had some personal stuff come up earlier in the week. I couldn't have time to record. I didn't think of pre-recording it because I didn't think anything would happen. So that's why it's coming out now. I will have content coming out most likely Thursday night, which is tomorrow night. By the time you guys should be seeing this. And Friday night as well. Thursday night will be She-Hulk review. Friday night will be Stargirl news. I might do some other pre-recording videos, especially for Arrow reviews. I'll be doing that more often, which I was hoping to do last week, but I didn't have time for it, sadly. But I did tell you guys that if I did ever have to push back an Arrow review, it would most likely be done that week and not like a week later. So that's why I'm doing this now. We're still on track to be at 110 by the end of August, which I'm very pleased about because that was not the plan when I started this series. I didn't think we'd be at 110 till the end of September. So the fact that we're getting a week off from 110, it doesn't seem like a big goal, but it is a big goal because, you know, it's a lot earlier than I was intending. But anyways, thank you guys for all the support throughout the week. I know I haven't uploaded much this week. Obviously, I've been gone since last Thursday. I think it was my last upload. So thank you guys for waiting. Thank you guys for the patience. I really do appreciate it. Let's get right back into the review and right back to the content, right? So thank you guys for the support as always. Let's get right into the review. So it opened up with a guy getting killed by a archer. The guy was Adam Hunt. I didn't recognize him right away, but it was Adam Hunt. Killed by an archer wearing full black, shooting dark arrows. He had a compound bow, which is something to point out. Goes to Oliver and Dig training in the bunker. Dig is getting better as they keep on going, and Oliver is as well. They're both advancing in their training, but obviously Oliver is more advanced than Dig is in the training aspect. He's been through more than Dig has, and by that what I mean is he's learned more than Dig has in fighting areas and that. So Oliver's going to be learning more as Dig learns, and it's going to be advancing him more, you know. So we're going to be seeing that go on throughout season 1, I would assume so. Oliver has scratched off 3 more names off the list in between episodes, which is mentioned by Dig. Oliver didn't realize it was Christmas. There were no holidays on the island. He just had to focus on surviving. That's what went by every single day. Dig tells Oliver should be with family and relax instead of, you know, because he's done enough work with the list. Now it's time to focus on family. Goes out to the island. Yellow Faye returns. Oliver ran out of food and water days ago at this point in time. The guy who tortured Oliver and kidnapped him, aka Fires, Yellow Faye told Oliver he has a way for him to go home and off this stupid island. So Oliver agrees to, you know, back him up on some level. Moira and Walter having dinner with some business people. There are no decorations up in the house for Christmas, which is kind of upsetting Oliver a little bit. Not like drastically, but it's off for him a little bit. Malcolm is at that dinner. Malcolm Merlin, aka Tommy's father. Not surprising though, because it is a business dinner. They had the police chief there, or whatever, something along those lines. Walter was obviously there. Moira and some other business people. Oliver was at that dinner. He was invited to it because, you know, he's starting a business and all that, so he would have to be there. And also, he's part of the Queen family, and Thea was there as well, I think, or something like that. So, the Queen family, they would all be there. Walter brings up the vigilantes actually bringing crime down, and Oliver kind of has a smile on him because, you know, Walter approves the vigilante a little bit. But Malcolm teases the name that the Green Arrow should be the vigilante's new name, and Oliver says it's lame, which is kind of ironic because 8 years later, and now we remember him as the Green Arrow, and yeah. So that's something. Walter gets a call from Felicity. He leaves the dinner a little bit early, or at least excuse himself from the dinner. Felicity connects that 7 of the guys that the vigilante killed were on the list, and the next guy on the list was Doug Miller. That would more than likely be his next target, considering he worked at Queen Consolidated and he was on the list. It was a very much so likely possibility that he could be killed next, or at least visited by the vigilante, if they didn't take more precautions. So that kind of, set Walter on the path to look into Doug Miller, find out what he actually did on some level, and talk to him later in the episode again in a little bit. The PD, the police department, got word that the vigilante struck an arrow in Adam Hunt and killed him, and the daughter found him in his apartment or whatever. Quinn is connecting the dots that there's a copycat archer out there, and that the vigilante couldn't have done this because he already visited Adam Hunt weeks ago, or I think at this point months ago or something like that. AKA in the pilot, when Arrow went after, or the vigilante, went after Adam Hunt for $40 million. And it was donated to wherever the hell it went to. So there's really no motive for Oliver to kill Adam Hunt, or for the vigilante to kill Adam Hunt. So this is a copycat. And also he's using black arrows, not the same MO as the vigilante, using different colored arrows. Unless he magically decide, hey, let's change up our arrows like months into this, which makes no sense whatsoever. Coming from an archer point of view, that makes sense. If you're not an archer, you probably don't get a single thing I just said. But Oliver recognized the bow was a compound bow and that he was a legitimate archer, which is kind of 50-50 because compound bows do all the work for you. So, all you gotta do is aim the bow. So to say that he's a legitimate archer isn't really that. Oliver is more of a legit archer than the Dark Archer is in a lot of standpoints. But we find out later in the episode why the Dark Archer is more threatening than Vigilante, and we get more into that. Oliver wants one of the arrows. Oliver said he was going to call the cops, because that's what you do when you need help. And he gave Quentin a phone through a package. And Oliver brought up he wanted a new nickname several times. He doesn't want to be called the Hood anymore, or the Hood guy. Oliver tries to convince Quentin he can get a ton more info out than the police department can. So he wants Quentin to help him. And Oliver had a voice modifier on the phone call, so Quentin didn't recognize his voice. The guy that Felicity saw on the list, Doug Miller, Walter called him up to his office to talk to him. Walter thinks Vigilante will be targeting Doug Ness, which is pretty accurate, right? And he's kind of at the same time telling Doug that Walter knows that he's doing something criminal, as Vigilante wouldn't be targeting him, and he wouldn't be on that list. Oliver and Thea end up going to Big Belly Burger. They aren't having Christmas anymore and haven't for years, and Oliver and Robert being resumed dead, because why would you? Oliver tells Moira, Thea, and Walter that they will have Christmas, and that he would throw it at their house, a party at their house. Chris to the island, Fires tells Oliver he's a good man on some level. Fires tells Oliver the island is a prison. The Chinese military brought dangerous enemies on the island. Yale Fei was one of those people. He was one of the people captured by the Chinese and brought here. The other guy that was wearing a Deathstroke mask that tortured Oliver as well was the other guy that was prisoned here on the island by the Chinese military. And they were the only two people that survived, Yale Fei and the Deathstroke guy, which is weird because both of them were fighting each other, if you remember. So, on some level, there's a background between these two characters, which I'm assuming we'll find out later in the show. I don't remember, because I never really cared about flashbacks till now. So, all the times I've watched Arrow, the flashbacks just go in one ear, out the other, kind of thing. But when we review the episodes, I'll talk about it. I won't really care. These flashbacks weren't that bad, though. Season 1 were not horrible. But, Season 4 is when it gets really bad. Malcolm confronts Moira about Walter looking into the list and Doug Miller being on it, because Doug Miller went to, I think, Malcolm, Dad, or Moira, I don't remember which one, but he told them that Walter was looking into this, and Malcolm is heavily concerned and wants to get Walter under control, as in take him out, not kill him, just take him off the board by kidnapping him or something. Moira tells Malcolm that she will handle him, but Malcolm doesn't really entirely believe her when she says that. Then we go to Dark Archer killing again, which is he killed Nelson Rabish, a guy the vigilante hit earlier in that same week. The cops want to tell the news to pin the vigilante on the murders, on Adam Hunt and Nelson Rabish, to resolve panic, which is stupid. I get where they're coming from, but it's stupid because they know the vigilante only kills when he really has to, right? They know that. So when there's another vigilante murdering people, what do you think, one vigilante versus the vigilante, at least you know there's someone that can take down this guy. And it's not, here's so-and-so and, whatever. Like, no, blame the other guy, not the same guy that's helping you. You know what I mean? There's a different, I don't know, it could have been a lot better. It made sense where they're coming from, and I get that. But anyways, they want Quinn to ignore one of the vigilantes and only catch one of them. Quinn says he won't file it and is now off the case. Quinn decides to call the vigilante for help, and he agrees to. Quinn tells him he has till Christmas to catch the copycat Archer and where to find, and he told the vigilante where to find the arrow that was used. Oliver is looking into the arrow that was used to murder Adam Hunt and the other murder. He came to the conclusion that the arrow used was handmade. Oliver needs to find this copycat soon, so he goes to Felicity, and he jokes that that archery is lame, which, thank you, screw you, joking obviously, and looks weird, and Oliver goes to Felicity to look to find out where the arrow was made from, and he made up an excuse of a friend, aka Steve, wanting arrows for archery that are custom made because for his birthday or something like that. Felicity found out the arrow's shaft, which is the bottom of the arrow, not the pointy thing, but the point where you knock the arrow on the bow, the feathers pretty much, that's the shaft of the arrow. Like that long black bar, pole or whatever, from like a bullet point to the feathers, in between that is a shaft. So that's what Felicity was looking at when she said the arrow shaft. And it was patented. So the patent was registered to a company called Sagittarius, which is Latin for the archer. And there were 200 units of arrow bundles, which sounds, you know what I mean. Bundles of arrows, 200 units in total, being shipped to an address, and Felicity writes on that address and gives it to Oliver. He calls her remarkable, and it goes to Quinn at home. The PD is doing a conference of the vigilante being a murderer psychopath, and there's a warrant out for his arrest now. Laurel knows the vigilante was protecting her in Iron Heights, which is a complete 180 from what happened in the episode, from what Laurel said. I don't know if it's this time set in, if that's what they're going to say. I don't know. But 2 episodes ago, or 3 episodes, I don't know how long ago, how long ago it was. But, Laurel was not happy that Oliver was just punching people up in the prison, or Vigilante was at least. She doesn't know Oliver's Vigilante, obviously, but at this point, but you know what I mean. The vigilante goes to where the arrows were sent to. He sees the same exact arrows that was used in the murders. The door shuts behind him, and he is locked in with an explosive compound being automatically made in the room that he is in. I was using an explosive arrow at the door. He gets out right in time. Then it goes to the Queen Mansion. The party was all set up. Shane, a guy that we saw in an episode at the Big Belly Burger, cannot talk at all. Thea and Oliver ran into him at the Big Belly, as I said already. Thea invited him to the party. Moira wants to talk to Walter alone. They all take a big family picture at the party by Oliver's request, I believe it was. Thea and Shane go somewhere. We don't really see where they go till later. Laurel and Tommy show up. Moira confesses to Walter that he knew he lied to her. Walter is trying to avenge Robert's murder. Walter couldn't just move past everything he found out. The money embezzlement. Moira tells Walter he did that to use his leverage to fight the people Walter had made angry. Moira said she was part of that group that Walter had pissed off. So it was weird wording, but that's what it meant. Moira wants him to get through the party, and she will tell him everything that's going on. Laura wants a moment to talk to Oliver about what is holding her back from Tommy. She says that Oliver's the thing that's holding her back. Oliver tells Laura he is happy for both of them, and he sees Laura and Shane as they're making out in her bedroom, so Oliver kicks Shane out of the house. Oliver said he threw the party for Thea, and she didn't want one. It was a whole thing. So Oliver leaves, and Dick goes to get him. The Archer took hostages. The Dark Archer took hostages. And so the Vigilante is the cause behind why the Copycat Archer is doing what he's doing. One hostage died every single hour if the Vigilante does not show in that building to save the hostages and to fight him. So Oliver goes. Dig warns him that, this could be heavily dangerous. But Oliver said this is nothing as dangerous as he's been dealing with the past 5 years on that horrible island. So I was convinced he can take this guy down no matter what. He thinks he can handle him and all that. So the Vigilante shows up, on top of the building that has red explosives outside of where the hostages are. He's on top of it. He jumps through the window as really amazing shot, and he sees the hostages, tells him to follow him, and then tells him to get on the roof. They start leaving. Oliver starts going through the building. The Dark Archer shows up behind Oliver at the end of the hallway, and he knew that Oliver was at the warehouse, or the Vigilante was, and that he planned the entire thing up to try to kill the Vigilante. They start shooting arrows back at each other. The Dark Archer shot out Oliver's bow and shot him twice in the back. And he said he knew about the list and the other wants him dead. Now, what I brought up earlier with Oliver calling this Dark Archer, this new Copycat Archer, a legitimate archer. A compound bow, as I said earlier, does most of the work for you. And this scene showed that. When the Dark Archer missed Oliver and it broke right through the glass, it looked like a bullet hitting the glass. That's what a compound bow does. It makes the arrow more powerful. So when Oliver got hit with the arrows twice in the back and once in the leg, and he got hit in the bow, or the bow got hit with an arrow and it went flying, that's because the compound bow produces more damage to an arrow when it's shot. If you hit something, it'll go flying. It'll be like a bullet from a railgun, pretty much. That's what a compound bow is made for. What Oliver uses is a recurve bow, and recurve bows are one of the most skillful used bows in archery. So, coming from that point of view, you can argue that Oliver is more of a quote-unquote legitimate archer than the Dark Archer. But the thing here is that this guy obviously has more training in this field and is more aware of his surroundings, concerning he saw Oliver up in the rafts that he was trying to attack the Dark Archer from in the shard of glass on the ground. So, he's clearly more aware to the environment than Oliver is, which is why I think he was able to take him out that easily. Why Oliver was taken out that easily, I mean. So, I wouldn't say he's more of a legit archer than Oliver is. I would just say that the Oliver we have right now, archery-wise, is better than a Dark Archer. Skillfully-wise, Dark Archer wins that argument. I think Oliver still has a lot of training to do at this point in time. That being said, it's obviously different later in the show. But right now, Oliver's more of a legitimate archer than a Dark Archer, and what we see is that being played out in this scene heavily throughout the scene. So I just wanted to point that out, because I brought up earlier, I said I'd bring it up again. That's why I'm bringing it up again. Oliver stabs the Dark Archer, knocks him out, and runs, breaks the 2 arrows in his back off. He calls Dick for help. Dick got Oliver out in time. He has 3 broken ribs and a concussion. The doctor said he'll be fine. Dick said Oliver was on his bike and a semi pulled out in front of him, and that's how he got into the accident for his family, and that's how the news will break it. Which is good cover-up. Thea brought Oliver candy canes. The Dark Archer takes off his mask and it's Malcolm Merlyn. So Malcolm Merlyn's the Dark Archer, as we already knew if you watch the show. Walter told Felicity Oliver will be fine. Man's in the elevator waiting for Walter, and he was kidnapped. Malcolm's plan will complete in 6 months at this point in time. Everything is working towards thousands will die. Malcolm does not care even a little bit. He said once it's all done, Walter will return. Oliver's on a cane now. He said he failed the city. Dick tries to tell Oliver he did good by saving those 5 hostages. Oliver tells Dick what the Dark Archer said about the list, and that someone made it, and the person on that list is worse than the Dark Archer, which is undoubtedly Malcolm Merlyn, that or his father or someone in that group, which he doesn't know yet. So, you know, at this point in the season where I think it's going to be kicking into overdrive with the story actually coming in the main focus, because the last 9 episodes, we weren't really having a main focus. It was Helena for 3 episodes, which really wasn't the main story. We were having Oliver dealing with the list, which is kind of connected to the main story now. But there was really no main purpose till now. So, that's great. I'm glad we're getting to that. But I think it was a pretty good episode. It was definitely one of the better episodes compared to like 103 or 104 to 108. I think 109 is definitely better than all those. I want to say it's better than 101 or 102, but it's, you know, it's in the top 3 right now. This is the mid-season finale generally. I don't remember if it was for Arrow or not, for our season 1. But generally in the Arrowverse shows, if it was on regular timing, 109 would be the mid-season finale. That's how it was from Arrow season 2 to like Flash season 5 or 6. I think 6, right? Yeah, because we had Crisis and now it's the break. So Flash season 6, and then season 7 kind of got out of that because of COVID issues. Season 8 got out of that because of COVID issues. A little bit, kind of ish. It's just we had more time off during the Christmas break and all that. But, so yeah, this is not mid-season finale. And I think it was, for being a mid-season finale, I think it was pretty good. Because then we learned who the big bad is after 9 episodes. But it is the first season, you know. I don't even think Flash did a big bad till like 110 or something. I don't remember. I haven't watched season 1 of The Flash in a long time. I have to rewatch it to like 100% say that. But yeah, it was a pretty good episode overall. Thanks for the support, like I said earlier. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit the button down below, subscribe for new, notifications on, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.